All right, let's start from there. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite Sunday sports stream. It's Point of View time. I am Bobby Munson, and beside me are my panel of expert sports analysts. Right on your guys' left, my right, I don't know, something along those lines. It's Andre C. Andre, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty darn well. Just finished watching a fairly good F1 race that really picked up because of a crash. But yeah, it was a good morning watching a race. Had a great day yesterday seeing Sinners and watching watching the Peggers get eliminated. It was great.
Well, whatever. Cheering against the Canadian teams. How dare you? How dare you?
Anyway, I'm supporting Edmonton.
Yeah. All right. Over to the other side of me, it is Mark. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well this week. The new owner of Reading has been fully announced. He's fully in charge now. I've had an email from him, not personal, like a generic, to all season ticket holders saying we're looking out for you. If you've got anything, inform the club if there's any ideas you want us to do. Also, as well, we got all of the playoff football is done. I have a clip for the show that is going to be epic. Formula One, as Andre was saying, was a good race thanks to a safety car. And that is a lot to discuss and to go through. That is fun. And also, I had a look this morning at the NHL playoff because I don't really get notifications from it, which I need to try and start finding a way of letting me know when I need to look out for the NHL games. And it's picking up. And then the NFL, fuck all's happening with that. Apart from that, it's going well. I'm having a good week there, Bobbala.
Yeah. Well,
how about you, beautiful man?
Bobbala. I love it.
You like that one, do you? There you go. I'm doing pretty good, but I've got a special title on this particular stream because just recently there was a news article that dropped that said that despite the Europa League final coming up, despite the fact that if you win the Europa League, you're supposed to have a spot in the Champions League, but there was news that Manchester United might not be so fortunate in this aspect due to things with club ownership. It could potentially lead to them not getting put through to the Champions League if they are victorious this Wednesday. But I am seeing here from the Manchester Evening News that there was an update to this since this bit of time here. And I'm just trying to flip through it right now. I don't know, Mark, if you've heard any update yet about what's.
Well, I'll let you read through that and let me update people. While you read through that, let me update people why this could be an issue. So, Manchester United sold 45%, I think it is, to Sir Jim Radcliffe. Something like that. Hello, Astrid. Hope you're doing well. Sold that amount here. I'm here for the Sinners review. No, we haven't seen that film yet. Stop it.
I have.
I want to see that. I haven't seen it yet. So
all right, I'm gonna give spoilers. Don't worry.
No, don't do that. So the thing with football is you cannot own two clubs in the same competition because there could be. There's rules about it. They think it could be unfair rules about what is going to happen in a match. They think that sometimes some teams could be paid off. It's a corruption thing, basically. They don't want corruption in the sport. That's how Qatar got it and Saudi got the World Cup, because there's no corruption. Fucking idiots. So that's one of the things behind it. But there's always been a very, very sticking point because Strasbourg could play Chelsea. I think there is a chance that could happen in the Champions League or Europa League, but it would be fine. But there's a differences of opinion with Manchester United. See, this is where it really confuses me because you could be a percentage owner of different clubs, but if you're the main owner, you may not be able to do it. So you may need to sell percentage. It's so confusing. It's unreal. But Bobby, I guess you've read that and you'll be able to see a bit more.
Yeah, so I mean, it still sticks. And again, they had a similar situation with Manchester City's ownership this year as well, too. That was cleared, and it's by a case-by-case basis is what they're going based on. And the problem is that, so to summarize this, Sir Jim Ratcliffe actually has transferred his shares in the ownership of Nice to another banking account for the time being, which then transfers back as of July 1st. So no official decision on whether or not Manchester United will be barred from the Champions League next season is yet to be seen. But Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come off saying that by no means will he allow Manchester United not to be in the Champions League, to the point of rush selling his shares in Nice if it comes down to it, to assure he does not prevent Manchester United's path to the Champions League next year. So there's a lot of news still to come on this. A lot going to be coming out over the next little while. But again, the biggest decision isn't decided yet. They still have to beat Tottenham this coming Wednesday. They have to get through to Tottenham. If they don't beat Tottenham, it doesn't matter where those shares go or the ownership is, because Manchester United will have zero Champions League and zero Europa League and none of that kind of stuff as of next season. So Manchester United, go out there, play like your life is on the line, because it freaking is on this coming Wednesday. I'll be rooting for you like I always do, and probably pulling out what's left of my hair in the process.
There is a talking point here that Almiron could be in real trouble. There is a discussion that could happen here. I don't believe he should be. Okay,
no,
I don't believe that man should be anywhere near the pressure than what it is. Yeah. I do feel like the pressure is. I can understand it to a certain point, but Manchester United have to look at this of, do we really need Champions League football? Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. So you've got the glory of the Champions League, but then you're gonna have players going, yeah, but I'm not leaving because it's Champions League football, right? You've got players that could be earning 300, 400,000 pound a week going, I'm leaving because you guys got Champions League football. When in the other fact, if you don't get it, those players will want to leave quicker, and they will want to be gone quick. But then you've also got the sticking point: no one's going to pay them the wages that they want. So it's very much of, you've got Anthony, who's going to be playing in the Europa Conference League final the week after you guys play your final. It's the Wednesday the week after, and then the Saturday after that is the Champions League final. I see the thing with Manchester United is I see a lot of ex-professionals coming out now: Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Rio Ferdinand, those dickheads coming out now and sort of I can't, and Jamie Carragher's fucked me off this week as well. Well, you can't tell Liverpool fans how they can treat their own players. No, but you can tell people how fans can celebrate. You twat. Anyway, I needed to get that off my chest. But no, I just think it's one of those things where Manchester United are in such a real bad sticky point that you're in like a, and I'm trying to put this in as not gross as I possibly can think of. It's like you're in a double-ended dildo and you don't know whether to go forwards or backwards because you're still going to be fucked. It's one of those things that you're in right now where you're whatever way you go, you're gonna get it. So, what is your? I know you want to win it, and also if you lose to Tottenham. That's a joke on its own because Tottenham never win trophies, and that's the joke that stays with us forever. But you're allowing them to win it.
Yeah, no, and that's
also,
the thing.
My son has now just run into the background, and you'll see him running around in a sec.
Fair enough. But no, that's the thing. It's like, of course, I always want my team to win. It doesn't matter what happens. I want the team to win. Kind of thing. Yeah. Whether it's a bad situation moving forward or not, you still want to be able to lift the trophy. You still want to dedicate it. You know, and I saw a lot of chatter because, again, like we took the loss to Chelsea just a couple of days ago there too. And the biggest problem seems to be it's not with the style. It's with the fact that, again, we cannot defend on set pieces for some reason. It doesn't matter how much we overload the back. We cannot seem to stop set pieces to save our life, and we can't score. That's the other problem we see. Now, granted, Europa League's been completely different. Apparently, we can find the net in the Europa League. Premier League, it's all of a sudden like we shut off that switch that carried us through to this cup final in the first damn place, and forget all about it. So there's definitely a shift that needs to change next season, and they need to keep Amarim around. They need to understand that he didn't have a proper opportunity yet to truly fully give his vision. Now, granted, it's going to be a struggle in the summer to assure that players are sold so he can bring in some players. But if he can bring in a few players that are more his decision, his players, plus the youth he's starting to promote, I think that the tactics will be able to be executed, and he'll be able to get people understanding his vision. Because you don't seem to hear the players complaining about the coach. They don't seem to have a problem with him.
No, and you're right. There's not many leaks inside the club as there was under Ten Hag. I don't know whether that's because the players have left that were the leaky fucks, or there's this new thing now where the manager may seem more approachable than Ten Hag was. I'm not sure how there's less leaks going on, but when there was Ten Hag was in charge, Jesus, there was like a leak every day about what was going on, and I haven't heard anything. But there is also a fact of, I think you will want Champions League football because Gorkez, who is the Sporting Lisbon striker who was under Almiron, former Coventry striker, has got a release clause of 65 million euros in the summer, which is apparently Sporting are ready to accept. That's the valuation. I don't think it's a release clause. I think it's an evaluation that they've set. And if someone gets that, he will be gone. And for a guy who scored as many goals as he has, he needs to go. You need a new goalkeeper. You need 1 or 2 centre-backs. You need a right wing-back. You need a central midfielder. You need you got Diallo, so you probably need someone that can rotate with Fernandez behind the striker. And you need a striker as well. So I'm saying you need to clear out 10 players, and you need to bring in a couple of youth academies and bring back 10 players in. So you've got one of the big, and on top of that, you're going to have to spend the money for Anthony that you said that you had to do anyway. You're going to have to spend the money to Borussia Dortmund for the Sancho transfer that you paid for as well with the installments that you've done. You've got Rashford, who could potentially be coming back with the wages he's on. You've got Sancho, who could be coming back with the wages he's on, and Anthony as well. So Manchester United, whoever's in recruitment and in player sales, has got the biggest, almightiest job this summer compared to anyone. Manchester City have had their worst season since the Saudi takeover. They're still fighting top 4, right? They're still fighting Champions League football. You're having your worst season since Sir Alex left. Yeah, worst season since Sir Alex left.
Worst season since the first Premier League season ever.
Yeah, I think
the
so.
First time there was a Premier League. This is the worst since then.
Yeah. You going back before when the Premier League didn't exist in '92, I think is when you got to go back to. It's interesting. It's interesting time because if you lose, I'm going to be the most unsufferable bastard in your DMs. But if you win, I'm going to be really nice to you. So either way, I really hope you lose so I can be a insufferable bastard talking to you. But at the same time, I do hope you win because as much as I fucking hate saying this, and it hurts me, like really hurts me saying it, but every time we talk about Man United, I look at more of their fixtures now because of you. And now I'm looking out for United. It's like, oh, what? About a year or 2 ago, I used to laugh. When people used to go, used to be sick. You had to be sick in the head if you enjoyed Man United's downfall. And I used to sit there going, absolutely, I was. But now I'm just like, I want them to do slightly well. Not too well, but slightly well.
I mean, they're one of the biggest clubs in English football. You don't want to see them, even if you dislike. Again, like a team like Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. It's like I despise them when they're playing against Man United. I also don't want to see them relegated because the amount of world attention and funds they bring to the Premier League, them going down does not benefit English football. Any of those teams.
Yeah, it does. It's annoying, and I agree with you. But it is more annoying that I do agree with you. But before we move on to the next subject, because I want Andre to talk, because I feel bad that he hasn't talked for 15 minutes of us opening up here. We'll do hockey first, and then we'll go back to the football quickly, or whatever Andre wants to talk about.
Keep doing your foot. Keep doing the footy. Keep doing the footy.
You sure?
Yeah. Then we'll go to F1 after footy, and then we go to
hockey. Yeah. All right. Okay. But I want to say an absolutely incredible celebration today for Everton fans, saying goodbye to Goodison Park. I've been to Goodison Park, Everton's one of the oldest stadiums in Liverpool. If you don't know the history of Liverpool and Everton, there is a park in between Anfield, Liverpool Stadium, and Everton. There's a park. I've played in that park. I've played football with fans in that park. I've been to Liverpool Stadium. I've been to Everton Stadium. They did a celebration because they're moving to a new ground, which is not that far away, to be fair. But it is a little bit far away. But if you want to go history, Liverpool Stadium, Anfield isn't actually Liverpool's. It was Everton's to start with. And then they gave it to Liverpool. And then they moved into Goodison Park. Liverpool went on to have the success they had. Everton have had a bit of a mixtures, but they're going with new owners now into a new stadium. I have a bit of a soft spot for Everton. The reason why is when I went to watch Reading v Everton, when we got promoted to the Premier League first time, was the first time I met Sylvester Stallone. He was walking around outside the grounds, being an Everton fan. I think he was promoting Rocky Balboa, the Balboa film. And he was walking around and I was like, I shook his hand and cried like a little bitch after. But yeah, that was the first. I've always have a soft spot for Everton, but yeah, that was just. It's nice to see. It's sad, but it's nice to see that celebrations are happening. But Bobby, what do you want me to go for first? Because we want to talk. Do you want to do FA Cup or do you want to do playoffs first?
Let's do the playoffs first.
Okay, so playoffs is very, very simple, and it's going to be quite quick to go through to certain points, but there is a video I want to show. During the Championship playoff, if I could get it up, Sheffield United won their first leg 3-0, and then they won the second leg 3-0. So they won 6-0 overall and will be going to Wembley Stadium to be facing either Sunderland or Coventry. And Sunderland v Coventry, who the manager of Coventry is Frank Lampard. So Coventry were 1-0 up. They have 1 minute to hold on to get to penalties. And then this happened.
Plenty of movement inside that box. Ballon! An incredible noise that can almost be heard away.
Magical night for some and a horror of a night for others.
So Frank Lampard's Coventry got knocked out because of that goal, which sends Sunderland through to the final, where they will be playing Sheffield United. Quick fun fact, the Sunderland v Coventry, both of the legs, set a record for most amount of attendances in a semi-final, where Sunderland had over 50,000 fans inside that stadium for them, and in Coventry there was over 30,000. So there was 80,000 people turning up for both legs going into that there. And then so that will mean at Wembley Stadium next Saturday it will be Sunderland versus Sheffield United. Going into League One, we had Leyton Orient versus Stockport, and it was going into that leg. It was a draw going into it, and then in the second leg it finished 1-1, going to a penalty shootout where Leyton Orient were able to pick up the win by beating them 4-1 on penalties, and Charlton were able to get the only goal of both of the legs, scoring it to make it 1-0 to them. So it will be Leyton Orient versus Charlton in the League One playoff final, and the winner of that will be going into the Championship. And finally, in League Two, Wimbledon, the greatest team that lost all their money, AFC Wimbledon, who MK Don stole them, but they were able to rise through the ranks again and come out of it. AFC Wimbledon were able to beat Notts County 1-0. And in the end, Walsall were able to beat them overall of Chesterfield 4-1, where it will be Walsall versus Wimbledon in the final of the League Two playoff final. I have watched so much playoff football this week. It is crazy. And we also have a final to discuss in a second, which is the FA Cup final, which, Bobby, shall we discuss it?
We should, because this made me happy.
Very much so. So Manchester City, walking into this FA Cup final, have won this competition 7 times before in its history. Crystal Palace, walking into this 160-year-old competition, the oldest sports competition in the world, have never won it. and it got to the 15th minute.
And Kamada, and then back to Mateta. Now they've got the chance to attack, and Munoz rampages forward. His cross is key. Eza is there! It's another exquisite Eberechi Eze goal, and this one's going to mean more than the rest combined.
I'll tell you what, I know he goes long, but the big centre forward holds it up and plays a couple of... What a goal, it is beautiful!
Yeah.
I just love the fact that Ali McCoist got full Scottish when they scored that goal. I can't believe it, holding the ball up and it passed there like I can throw from the striker. And then full Scottish Ali McCoist, where you know he's excited for that. But Crystal Palace won that game, winning it 1-0 for the first time in their history. You had fans crying in the stadium for seeing their team win the FA Cup. Now, I am a fan of seeing the teams that have never won it win a competition. I was jealous because I was like, oh, good for Palace. And fuck you, Palace, because I want to see Reading win it one day at the same time. But I have to say, Dean Henderson saving a penalty as well, saving so many shots during that game. And there was also, if you haven't seen my football channel before, many years ago, when I first started doing my football channel, I interviewed a Crystal Palace fan called HT LCO. He is a Down syndrome football fan who you didn't know he had Down syndrome or Asperger's at the time. And he covered his face, wouldn't talk about it. And a few years ago, he released his face about his experiences going to football. And he was in the stadium with his kids and his family in that stadium as well at the same time watching that. And when you see families, I saw this little kid crying and his dad was crying and they were hugging at the final whistle. I was like, this is what football is. This is football. You don't get this anywhere else. You don't get this in any other sport. Just because of the history, this prestige of this. Crystal Palace have now gone into European football because they won this FA Cup. They will be playing Europa League football next season. It gets more complicated now in their first time, I think, in their history. But I also want to say as well, Steve Parish, who is the Crystal Palace chairman, is Crystal Palace born and bred. He was a Crystal Palace fan when he was born. He was brought up a Palace fan. He brought him out of administration when Simon Jordan put him there. He brought them out of administration, got them promoted to the Premier League, survived them there. They're going through managers that weren't there and trying the different styles and doing different things. He's got an Americans and investors in the board behind to try and push them forward even more. Oliver Glasner, who is a cup specialist, by the way, if you don't know, from German football. He did it with Eintracht Frankfurt for them winning the Europa League for them when he was manager of them. But my God, congratulations to Palace for winning the FA Cup for the very first time in their history. Because I messaged Bobby saying, are you watching it? And the bastard decided, I want to spend time with my wife. Should be watching the football, buddy. You're a disgrace.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, by the way,
I know.
I still love Bobby's wife. I didn't mean that. I love you. I'm sorry.
To be perfectly honest with you, I forgot that it was on that day and realized that we had something going on. So I was like, oh shit. And I flip it open. I'm like, oh, I should have been watching. God damn it. I should have been watching.
We should have done a watch along. I was working as well. I was so annoyed because I was working and I missed the goal because I had to sort these customers out. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, there you go then. See?
Yeah.
Palace fan. But yeah. Oh, what a football!
Perfect.
Right, Andre's been so quiet. It's been lovely. I mean, horrible.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a football jersey in the next 3 to 4 weeks here. I'm ordering one on Friday.
Please, what one are you buying?
The one I showed you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I really hoped you didn't flick the switch and just got like an Oxford United shirt just to piss me off. I really hoped you weren't going to do that. So
I'm also debating a Wrexham one just to be an asshole. I'm debating a Wrexham one and hang it like right here just to be an ass.
Have you seen who Wrexham are trying to sign, by the way? Sorry, I know that this is random. Some of you may not know who it is. His name's Tom Kearney. He's the current Fulham captain. And he's been on the bench. He's 34 years of age, and they want to make him the highest paid player in the championship. Why? He's 34.
Yeah.
For the love of God, you have to have brains in the championship.
But wouldn't that just be a big FU to Fulham to take or to Tony Khan to take him away?
No, because he's not playing
not
him.
at all.
Because he's not good enough.
Yeah.
If he was good, if he was a good player, I would go, yes, absolutely. Screw Tony Khan. Absolutely. He's, by the way, fuck Tony Khan for what he's doing at Fulham, trying to charge a season ticket of 20 grand for a season ticket at Fulham because they can have a pool and they can go there whenever they would like during the week. Fuck off. Ruining football with the American installized twat. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, Bobby. I had to get the anger out there. I don't even like. I'm still angry for him.
Yeah, I'm not a Fulham supporter or whatever, but yeah, I'm mad for them too. But yes, gentlemen, I think it's time for you guys to talk about some F1.
I was gonna say maybe I should get a Fulham jersey then.
No, I'll get a Bournemouth then. I'll get a Bournemouth. That's WWE sponsored at the moment.
If you get a Fulham jersey, you're just wearing it as a pair of underwear. Anyway, time to talk about some F1 so that I can learn about what went on in the racing. So, Andre, let us know.
I watched the race today. Me and Mark both did. We were chatting. It was a good race. Like it's the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix out of Italy. Ferrari's home race, which is Mark's favorite team now, I guess, since Louis.
I don't know who I support at the moment. I just support Lewis Hamilton at this point. I really don't know who. I'm just enjoying I'm enjoying racing. Let's go with that.
I'm the same way. Like again, I dislike Red Bull, but I'm really like the team I've really been loving this year is Williams because nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
If it's with the Fulham jersey, like, man, yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Just use it as toilet roll. It's even better.
No,
it's multi-purpose.
I have another service you have to pay for that on. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just want to set you up an OnlyFans so you can just shit on the Fulham jersey and I can watch it. That's about it.
F1.
I thought today's race was actually really good. Again, it wasn't super exciting. There was some cool little overtakes certain points, but like as I've learned this last couple of years, that track is not an overtaking track. This is a track where you kind of it's tight. It's everything. There's some the overtakes we did see in here. You have to be a cyber sleuth, Peggy, and find out for yourself. But yeah, I thought good strong race. And I think this is what the best positioning you really seen from Ferrari all season with how they placed in this race. And I love that they Williams. Well, this is Albon's second fifth place in a row.
Yeah.
So, he's done that. I think he's done it twice now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got into the tops. He's got 0.6 out of the 7 races so far this season.
That's 3, and it's 3 fifth place because he fifth. Like I just pulled it up. He's got 5th place in the Australian Grand Prix too, and then a 7th, 9th, and 2 fifths. Yeah. Like, dude, Williams has really built a great car for him. And Sainz is racing very well. Don't get me wrong. He's not racing at level, but like he's racing very well under that Williams car too, which has been just beautiful to see Williams. And again, I never saw them in their heyday because again, I wasn't watching.
No one was born
way back. I watched racing a bit of racing in the 90s. Don't get me wrong, but I don't remember any of that shit. But like it's nice to see this team who has been. Again, I learned a lot from Drive to Survive in those first couple seasons of Drive to Survive that really focused on Williams in those early days and their kind of fallout and like everything that happened to them. To see them rebuild to what they are now, and just to see the performance out of that car this week, holy shit, that was beauty. It's just this year has been amazing for them.
I think watching at that race, you got to look at Verstappen going into turn 1, absolutely with the biggest balls known to man, throwing it in the one of the latest braking I think we've ever seen. Norris trying to get back, but then because it wasn't really getting there, Piastri did well, but I think he should have defended a lot better. going into turn one. I think he really wasn't using his brain
No,
going into that
even
turn one.
even Hamilton yelled about it on his radio, or was it
Russell.
Russell yelled about it on his
Yeah.
radio. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You heard on the team radio about the reaction to letting. And the thing is, you let Verstappen pass on a race like that, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're done.
And again, as much as I got a big, when I first watching, Drive to Survive made me a fan of Red Bull at the beginning, but I learned to like better teams. But you can't deny how good, like, Max is arguably the best driver going right now.
Yeah.
Like he's that good. You let a guy that good get into that, he's taking it. He's going to destroy you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I think it's been an interesting week because we're now in the triple header. We've got Imola today, who may not be here next year. I think should be because of the prestige of it. We've got Monaco next week. So everyone watch qualifying, put the race on, have a nap, wake up, and the result will still be the same. And Monaco, fuck me, that is the longest. Oh, I fall asleep nearly every year watching that. It used to be
I find that to
such
be
a
a very
great
boring.
track. Oh,
Unless, like, outside of like some spectacular crashes that I've seen
yes.
in those races, it's not, because again, it's like Amelia. It's very tight. So I think it's tighter than Amelia because it's all
so much tighter.
It's a very tight street circuit. There's like almost there's maybe 2 to 3 spots for overtaking, and that's about it. And they're on the long, and it's those long. I thought there was about 2, but
I would say 2. I think it would be 2 going under the bridge, and I would say down the straight for the start-finish line. I think that is the only play. You can't go around the swimming pool section because there is no room, and even if you clip a slight tire on the wall, you're fucked. I think whoever finishes first will win the race going into Monaco. But I want to give a few shout-outs as well. Kimi Antonelli, who done the one thing, didn't have a great, had a very poor weekend. Seemed to have got, the nerves have sort of got to him because it was his home Grand Prix. And one of the cool things he did as well was he invited his classmates, all of his classmates at the age of 18, to come along to the race weekend, so he can show them exactly what he does as a hobby on weekends when he races for Mercedes, which is mental, by the way. If you haven't been able to see, there is a Netflix documentary called The Seat, where they discuss how Kimi Antonelli got the seat for Mercedes and how it rolled up to him getting a seat. It's sponsored by WhatsApp, I think it is. It's on Netflix, so make sure you go and check that out. Also, Aston Martin brought really big upgrades, did really well, and then they decided that they are shit drivers, so then they couldn't get in the points. Franco Colapinto, a driver who's very well known for crashes and taking the car way too much, who replaced Jack Doohan a couple of weeks ago because Jack Doohan was apparently getting death threats and was getting his brain wasn't fully there with it. And his manager, Flavio Birastori, Bobby, I'm going to go on a rant in a minute, and I'm going to get angry during that rant, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Who replaced his own client for Franco Colapinto because he wanted more sponsorship money because of what Colapinto brings to that Alpine. As well, Carlos Sainz finishing 8th in the race, Hadjir finishing 9th, again finish ahead of the second Red Bull driver in Yuki Tsunoda, they made me laugh. They go on the radio to Tsunoda saying, you have to stop Piastri, and a corner later, Piastri overtook him. Charles Leclerc coming out saying that he's going to struggle going to the end of the race with the tyres he's on, and Albon basically slightly getting pushed off the track with a wheel-to-wheel racing with Leclerc.
But that was so even, though. Like,
you should have just be a racing incident and just leave it.
I understand. Like, he wasn't ahead in that point, and they were saying under rules he needs to be slightly ahead for that to be a force off. And from every angle that they showed, he was only even or slightly behind.
Yeah.
But I think Ferrari did the smart thing because he didn't know to give Albon the position back. They were just like, you know what, screw this. Like, so they don't give the position back. That's 5 seconds, and with how tight that race is, that could have lost him 2 or 3 positions versus just giving up 1. I think was the better option. Point was for Ferrari. That's the only reason. Like I feel like they went with that.
I also think as well that you never know what the FIA are going to do. Even though there's a rule book, they sometimes just go rogue and do what they want to do.
And you risk
so I feel like
you risk 5 seconds at the end, right?
So, and then you also don't want to get exactly. You don't want to be losing positions going backwards even more. But Lewis Hamilton doing really well there. Norris overtaking Piastri as well. I'm going to quickly get my phone. I don't know why I actually threw it away, but I want to get my phone up quickly because I want to have a look at the standings at the moment. At the moment, Oscar Piastri is top with 146 points, with Lando Norris second with 133. Max Verstappen is third with 124. Then you got Norris on 99, and then Leclerc on 61, and Hamilton on 53, which means on the constructors' standings, the team standings, McLaren are well in the lead with 279 points, with Mercedes second with 147. Red Bull are third, Ferrari are fourth, and for the first time, I think since the 90s, Williams are fifth in the
Haas is sixth.
standings.
Haas is in sixth, which is even crazier.
Aston Martin, who are 7, Racing Bulls of Lawson and Hadjir. I don't know how they're only got 10 points. I think the points move because of Yuki. Hadji's been doing really well. Alpine are on 7 points with Kick-Sauber, who will be turning into Audi next season with Bonotto, who is the former Ferrari chief, who was there today to watch the race. I think Formula One is in a very... These new regulations have to bring... They're not getting smaller cars, but they need to get smaller cars. I think they need to narrow it in more because overtaking is the issue. And I feel like I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go on a rant now, Bobby.
All right.
And I would like to pre-warn people that there will be swear words that would be said. So if you're under the age of certain amount and you don't like hearing swear words, then get over it. It's
Peggy, plug your ears.
Just be careful because it's a fucking family show here. We don't want any of that against it.
But Bobby, stop fucking swearing for fuck's sake. Anyway, so Flavio Briatore is back in Formula One after he was an executive to Alpine of drivers. If you don't know who Flavio Briatore is, let me give you a little bit of a lesson. He was a team principal many, many moons ago in the 90s or early 2000s who was done for cheating in Formula One. He was a team principal that has apparently told one of his drivers that at a certain lap he had to crash the car. It was called Crashgate. If you don't know anything about it, I would go and Google it and watch a YouTube video on it because it is very interesting.
I did after watching this last season of Drive to Survive when he was introduced. Yeah. I went and watched the videos about him. It's fucking nuts.
So Fernando Alonso was the driver going for the World Championship under Flavio Briatore. And he had I can't remember who the teammate was called. It was someone, but Felipe Massa was the driver that was also going after the World Championship. Now, if they crashed and Fernando Alonso stayed in the lead, he would have won his World Championship. He crashed, and Fernando Alonso. He then went to court, as it was called Crashgate, and there was an investigation into this, and he was lifetime banned from Formula One. Lifetime ban from Formula One. Never allowed to step foot or near a Formula One track or race. Now, let's go forward to about 2 years ago, where Flavio Briatore, who is a man who wills and deals his way to a deal, other words, lies and cheats, has got lots and lots of money, and paid a lot of expensive lawyers to get him off this lifetime ban, which then they did. It wasn't a lifetime ban, but still it was like he never really did it. It wasn't his fault, but really, if you look at the evidence, he did do it. It was just lawyers being lawyers. They made a better case than the other team. And then he turned up in Alpine, where Oliver Woods or Ollie Oakes, can't remember, Ollie Oakes, who was in charge of the Alpine team principal, is going through something because somehow he's vanished to Dubai because of money laundering scheme. But I think that's a load of bollocks.
That's just his wife. That's his partner, though.
I'm not sure.
He's not. His partner's being accused of money laundering. I didn't read into any of that, but it's not really widely available. But yeah.
So because he's now had to leave, Flavio Briatore is now in charge of Alpine again. Oh, but he's not team principal. He's executive chief of operations, which is another word for team fucking principal. You've just made it fancy because you can't give him that title because he was banned for cheating. Anyway, so now he's in charge of this, and then his own client, who is Jack Doohan, is getting death threats, and he thought, best case scenario, let's not protect him, let's drop him down, let's not help him, let's make the situation worse, shall we? And then Franco Colapinto comes in the car, crashes it in Q1, which means that he couldn't drive it. They had the mechanics stay up all night to repair that car for him to then nearly bin it in turn 2. But then he was able to finish the race and finish him way down in that. FIA are a bunch of fucking idiots. Mohammed bin Salam, who's in charge of the FIA right now, is under so much pressure for the way that he's been treating the drivers and the tracks that he is picking at the moment. We know that Carlos Sainz Sr. Is a favourite candidate of the drivers, who, if you don't know who Carlos Sainz Sr., his son is a driver for Williams, but he is a legend in rally car. He's won everything in rally car and twice, plus more. At the age of, I think he's 50-something, 60-something now. At the age of 40 or 50, he was in the Rally Car World Championship and won it. And this was at the age of 50. The guy is an absolute living legend. We need the FIA to change the way they're doing things. We cannot be having Flavio in there. We cannot be sort of hiding under the rug, Crashgate. I do not want to see any interviews with him. I don't want to see his ugly face-melting looking twat of a face anymore in the sport. But yeah, my rant is over, and I hope Flavio Briatore has a very horrible time and he falls over and rubs his knees on carpet and gets a really bad carpet burn because that really hurts for a very long time. I can't really say what else I really want to feel because it's very horrible. But I'm going to go with that. But yeah, right. Anyway, rant over.
All right, rant's over. F1's over. A couple of quick fires before we go to talk about the NHL playoffs. I will mention that in the NBA playoffs, today we've got the Denver Nuggets taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is Game 7 of that series. That from there, that will mean that one of those two teams will go on to play the Timberwolves, as the Pacers are going to be kicking off against the Knicks starting Wednesday with Game 1 on the other side of the fence to find out who's going to go to the final. And another piece of news from the world of MMA, Michael Morales will be a top 10 ranked fighter as of next week after he scored one of the biggest wins of his career, beating former welterweight title contender in the first round there last night at UFC Vegas 106. So a couple of interesting news articles coming out there from the world of sports. But
I watched about 5 minutes of the first fight in the UFC last night, and I fell asleep on my sofa. I think it's time for me to go to bed now. But yeah, no, I
was busy watching movies and watching hockey. So
right, come on, let's talk about hockey. We need to talk about that
hockey.
Let's talk Papa Smoke's team, because they didn't really help, did they? They didn't really help us, did they?
No.
So,
I was right.
So Dallas are going to be playing Edmonton. And right, I need both of you have probably watched the games, or I presume one of you has watched probably most of the games going into this. Toronto and Florida are probably the two favorite teams, I think, going into that. Whoever wins that, I think, is going to win the whole Stanley Cup, in my opinion.
No,
But what is your
Edmonton.
what is your? I'm only saying Toronto because it pissed Andre off even more. That's the only reason why I'm going with Toronto. But thought right. Let's go game by game. Okay, I want to get both of yours opinion. Let's go with Edmonton versus Vegas Knights. Is that as comfortable as what it should have been?
That turned out kind of what I expected.
Yeah. Same here. It really it's everything it should have been. Because again, Edmonton, like Vegas is a great team. Don't get me wrong, but Edmonton's just that much better. And the 4-1 made complete sense.
Okay, so that made sense. Okay, let's go with Dallas and the Winnipeg. I'm not saying their last name because I refuse to say the last name on there. So is that a shock or is that the right?
No.
Do you think going into that was the right thing?
It's not a shock. I think, again, I was rooting for Winnipeg on behalf of good old Pop Smokes there and everything, but there was always that doubt. I mean, they've had that drought of the Stanley Cup forever. Not only that, but they barely got by St. Louis, that miracle on ice that took them through that game. They almost kind of got to the point of having a little bit of a repeat last night, forcing a game 7, but ultimately it did not happen for them. It was kind of expected, but at the same time, you do always hope that we could have seen an all-Canadian, Western Conference final. Would have been nice.
Like it's not unexpected, but again, you got to remember Winnipeg was the best team in the league this year.
They were,
but Dallas was one of the top 5 teams this year, and they're also a very strong team. If you look at their history in the past, they're a very strong team, former Stanley Cup champions back in the 90s. Really strong team. So like, it's not surprising because Winnipeg, especially after the first round, struggling the way they did with St. Louis. I know Dallas had a hell of a time with Colorado, but Colorado was a far better team than St. Louis.
Yeah.
So with how much Winnipeg struggled against St. Louis, the Dallas series, I expected Dallas to win this. And in 6 was actually pretty understandable. The fact that Winnipeg did come back to make it to game 6 is impressive.
And close to forcing game 7. It was close.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they went to OT last night.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it ended up with that penalty hurt them going into OT though. They went in on the Dallas went in on the power, but they ended up scoring it full team. But it was solid, man.
So Winnipeg were the only team going into the last rounds here, the only teams not to win a Stanley Cup. And still, don't you think, by the way that you both have spoken about that that's a bigger shock? Because Winnipeg, as Andre said, were the best team in the NHL, and they couldn't make it to a Stanley Cup final. Do you not think that's, and we use this in football terms, I don't know whether you use it in hockey, but in football terms, we call it a bottle job, which means that you were favourites and then you bottled it. You bottled it up. You fucked it up, that type of thing. Wouldn't that be classed as that if they were the favourites and the best that season?
I look at it as a president. A lot of people are chalking up to the trophy curse too, because a lot of the teams like Boston went out their year with a lot of the teams with the President's Trophy are usually gone, but who are the best team in the league and get the President's Trophy for being the best team in the league really means nothing. Usually end up out by by the end of round 2. It's very rare you see at the top team league. It's again a lot of mounting pressure, shit like that. That really does take a team out of the playoffs.
Yeah, playoff momentum seems to be a totally different bag than what the regular season is too. Like you play very, very well in the regular season, and a lot of the times you're seeing a lot of the teams that is like, okay, they were up there but not quite there kind of thing, and come playoff time, suddenly they light it up. They become a totally different team all of a sudden, and just maybe it's coaching with the purpose of preparation for the cup. Like if your coaching's right and your team's right and the mentality's right going into the cup, doesn't matter if you were the odds-on favorite to win it. You just have to go win it.
Right. I get what you mean.
I was gonna say I truly believe the teams that are coming from third place wild card are usually a lot scrappier going into the playoffs because they're the underdogs. They're the ones playing on the road more. so they tend to fight a lot harder. Like Edmonton coming in third place in their division, they've really scrapped. The hell, where'd Mark go?
He's just out for a minute.
But really scrapping to fight to be better to get into those positions. You see those lower end teams. He's back, but yeah, like that's. I really feel like that's what you see in there.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Sure.
Let's get into the next one. It's the Hurricanes versus the. I'm going to leave. You understand why I'm leaving one team last. We're going to go with the Hurricanes versus Washington. Washington winning the first series, winning 4-1, and the Hurricanes winning 4-1 in their first series. But then Washington's get demolished by 4-1 in the second round, semi-finals basically. No, quarterfinals of the Stanley Cup. Is that a shock
Yes.
to the way the scoring went?
I picked Carolina to win it because I just Washington eliminated, fuck them. But the fact that it ended 4-1 surprises me because again, Washington is a very strong team, but Carolina just came on literally like a hurricane, and for the stupid pun, they were just overwhelmingly good in this series, really showing my prediction might change. My prediction it might falter if Florida, after they beat Toronto tonight, they may not beat the Hurricanes because it might be a 06. I think it might turn into an 06 rematch with Edmonton and Carolina. Again, my prediction is still Florida Edmonton in the rematch of last year. That is still my official prediction. I'm not changing that, but I'm saying it could be upset with how Carolina is playing in these playoffs.
This is an interesting thing you're saying here too, Andre, because you're talking about an 06 rematch with Edmonton and Carolina, or you're talking there's a possibility of last year's rematch between Florida and Edmonton, both of which Edmonton came up short. Now, does a cynical part of you maybe want to see miraculously Toronto make that final against Edmonton because they have not done that? They have not rolled that out, and maybe Edmonton's luck and chances towards a cup might change with Toronto in the final.
I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I understand.
Mark, who's Redding's number one rival that you cannot stand? You will never cheer for. You'll never support them for anything.
Well, we have two. It's Oxford United or Swindon.
Okay, so that's who they are to me. That's who Toronto is to me.
Yeah.
But I could see again, there's a possibility Toronto wins that tonight, and it's just the reason the Hurricanes have played. So I don't see if Florida goes to the conference final, the East Conference final, I could see either of those teams coming out of there. I don't see Toronto beating Carolina, just for the fact that Carolina's been on such a tear, and I think Toronto gets overwhelmed by that team. Florida has a better shot at beating Carolina, in my personal opinion, with just the overall situation of their team. But again, it'd be an interesting final and there's a possibility Toronto's the only Canadian team in this final. Toronto could end up moving through the final, and they could be playing Dallas because again, Dallas has had a strong playoff so far. So Edmonton's got their hands full, but this is the exact path Edmonton took to the finals last year. They beat LA in the first round, they beat Vegas in the second round, and they beat Dallas in the third round. This is literally the West is literally in repeat right now.
Mm-hmm.
So at least for Edmonton,
so the question I have as well, but wouldn't you also want to see Toronto get the final and then lose 4-0, like a humiliation? Like for me, if it was I want to see Swindon or Oxford get to the final, and then they play like a Man City and Haaland gets 7 goals in 5 minutes. That makes me a very happy boy. But wouldn't you want it that way around instead of them losing here where it means nothing at this moment? Well, it probably means something to them, but it means nothing in the grander scale of things where if they're in the final, there'll be all this hype around the Maple Leafs for them to just get dicked.
But that would feel great to see the Leafs get swept in 4 the final would make me happy, but them getting to the final means there's always a chance of them winning, and if they won, that would break my goddamn heart. It would make my best friend would be celebrating to the world's end because he is a Toronto fan, and I don't know why we're best friends.
Yeah, but wouldn't it also be better as well to see his face when they lose 4-0 in the final?
Oh, dude, that would be amazing. But
there you go.
I don't. I love him too. I love
for me, right?
This is a man who is legitimately, I consider, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I stood as his best man at his wedding.
Yeah, but you also want them to get destroyed.
I wouldn't want to see that look on his face, though.
Yeah, you would. You do.
Every other his dad. I would love to see that look on his dad's face.
No.
I would love to see that look.
I'll give you a perfect example. On Wednesday, if Bobby loses to Tottenham, I'm going to be and I love Bobby, very close friend of mine, but I want him to suffer at the same time. I am going to make him suffer, and he will probably mute me at one point with the amount of memes that I will send him through Instagram. I will send it, and I will be on there on Discord as well, DMing him the whole way through the game, enjoying my life of watching him suffer even more. That's why, like I love people, right? I love everyone. Not everyone. I like most people, but I want to see downfalls of people because it makes me happy, right? I want to see Swindon get to the final of a cup, and then I want them to get absolutely destroyed because it will make my life so much happier, right? It's the same with the other way around. They will want Reading to get to the final and get annihilated, right? It's all fair in love and war, but it's funnier.
I do, but I don't at the same time. It's that
yeah,
I do, but I don't.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You're being too Canadian.
It scares me. No. It scares me that they could get to a final. That scares the living piss out of me. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's talk about.
I never want to see them get a chance, but I would love to see them get wrecked. You know what I mean? I get what you mean. Stupid little thing.
So let's talk about the game. If you had to put money on it right now, and you had to put, let's say I gave you a tenner, all right, or loonies, whatever you call it over there.
We have a $10 bill. Don't worry.
Okay, that's what you call it. You call it dollars. That's wrong already. England needs to invade Canada again and bring it back to normality. So if I give you pounds. If I give you 10 quid and I go, right, go into that bookies and put a money on.
Ooh, 10 quid, that's like 20. That's like 20 Canadian. Nice.
Yeah, whoever you think. No, not by personal choice. You use your head and you put your money on who are the favourites between Toronto and Florida right now. I'll just say both of you. Who are you putting your money on right now?
Well,
Florida.
I mean, if you're giving me the money, I'm putting it on Florida because the payback is better if Florida wins. Because Toronto is considered the betting odds favored Toronto for today.
Right. Okay.
So I would put it on Florida with the hope of getting the extra money. Because Toronto is notorious for choking.
Yes.
Yeah, Toronto's notorious for choking, so you could make an easy extra bit of money on Florida winning.
So at the moment, Toronto won the first 2 games, and then they lost the next 3, and Toronto won the last game to tie the series 3-3. So if you were going momentum-wise, you're going Florida. No, you're going Toronto because they won their last game. You're going to go with them winning the last game and momentum-wise. And STG really wants them to lose.
Because he's a good Canadian boy who doesn't support Toronto.
Also, STG, while you're here, how do you feel about being called a good Canadian boy, by the way? I just want to know. Just want to know what you're feeling.
That's like calling somebody the shiniest turd at the turd store these days.
No. That'd be saying a good American boy to Ed. That's the shiniest turd at the turd store.
So over here in the UK, it's even between the Leafs and the Panthers. Who's going to win? They think that the Leafs are odds on even to win, to include overtime at the moment, and they feel like will there be overtime? There is more odds on favourite. You put £4 on over here in the UK, you get £1 back. That's how small the odds are for it. They think it's going into overtime. That's basically what it's saying. They think it's going to go into overtime, and they think it's going to be done for it. So I'm interested. I'm one of those where I want Toronto to win because I want to see Toronto get to a Stanley Cup final. And then I want, because the only reason why, and I mean this as respectful as I possibly can, I want to see the meltdown from Andre if they do win it. And I want to see the meltdown from STG and probably Peggy as well, who is going to do a meltdown.
For sure. Peggy for sure.
I want. So what we need to do,
right? Like us, Mark.
So what we need to do is if Toronto win the Stanley Cup, I want STG. He doesn't have to show his face. He could just be on the call. I want Peggy in here as well. I want Andre here, and I want to sit back, and I want you guys to sit there and let me wind all of you up about how great Toronto is. I might even buy a Toronto top because it'd be funny, right? I may do right. I'll make a bet right now. Okay, if Toronto win the Stanley Cup, I will buy a Toronto shirt. And then I will support Toronto forever. I'll go to McDonald's and get a food poisoning and give to. No. I don't want you to praise them. I want you to. I'm going that show. I'm just going to bombard you with pictures of them lifting the Stanley Cup. That's basically what I'm going to do throughout that show. But I will say this: if Toronto win,
I agree to it, but I agree to this, but yeah.
There we go then. Okay.
But if that happens, I'm coming in here wearing a Wrexham jersey. If that happens, I'm gonna buy a Wrexham jersey. Just wear that on the show.
I don't care about Wrexham. So that's fine.
Okay. Well,
if you walked in with an Oxford United shirt.
Okay, Oxford United. That's the shirt I'm gonna get.
Or Swindon.
Wear that. Just wear that on. Wear that, or get an Oxford United and a Swindon shirt. Cut them down the middle and sew them together, so I have both.
Not the half and halves. Not the half and halves. No, that's despicable. That is utterly despicable. That is horrific. Oh no. I feel violently. It's half and half scarves are bad enough as it is, but a shirt. I've seen one of them once.
You know what? If he does that shit, you're doing the same thing with a Toronto and fucking Habs shirt right after.
Absolutely. I'm going to put them together. No. I'm going to put a Toronto shirt and a Habs shirt, and I'm going to sew it together.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Look at his face. Look at that. Oh, the heartbreak. If you slow it down, you can notice this moment his heart split into two pieces.
At least I'm not wearing a Swindon and Reading jersey mixed together, you bastard.
It doesn't matter. That still is bad. I can't think. You haven't got any other teams apart from Toronto who you hate. You hate Toronto more than anything. So I will do that. I will buy a Habs shirt as well. I need to find a way.
I hate the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but that's putting two sports. That's two different sports together. It's just weird.
I would love to see a Eagles jersey mixed with a Toronto jersey. It would just be so many levels of shitty. It would just.
Just like all of Andre's most hated sports teams all sewn into one shirt.
Also, new rant this week. Winnipeg is the worst place. Is now the second worst place on earth.
$134. Hold on, $134 for a Habs shirt, for a Habs top. It's $134. What are you guys smoking over there?
Everything here is expensive.
A lot of weed.
That's the only thing that isn't expensive over here.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. I've met Bobby. I know what you guys smoke over there. So yeah, I understand the pricing now. I used to go on eBay, on Amazon, and find like a fucking replica one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Dude, even then, even on there, you're gonna be paying at least probably $100 Canadian, if not more.
Fanatics, do me a solid here. Come on. Oh,
Yeah,
I found
we
a
can't-
top that's $34. Might have to get that one.
Yeah, we can't afford groceries, can't afford our bills, but we still can afford weed here in Canada. It's an amazing time to be Canadian. But
Well, at least you're happy about sunning. You're going to be happy. But the problem is, you can't afford groceries or anything. So when you smoke it and you get the munchies, you got nothing to eat.
it's all right. At least I won't get fat. At least I won't get any fatter. So
That's a positive.
All right. And on that positive note, Andre, why don't you let people know where they can find you and what you got coming up?
You can find me right here on this channel. You can find me on the X and Blue Sky at that Canada, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at that Canada Dude. You can find me back here next weekend as we'll be back with the boys on for Point of View. And then actually not this coming Wednesday, but Wednesday the 28th, me and Ed are back for Marvel Talks MCU Rebound. We're going to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming is the next one we're doing. So,
Great film.
so come and hopefully Peggy will be there. She couldn't make it this past week for Guardians because we didn't tell her in time to rewatch the movie. But Spider-Man Homecoming, she knows the dates. So Spider-Man Homecoming on the 28th. So we are going to be reviewing that on that night, and then so that's pretty much it. Coming up in the next month, within the next month and a half, I'll be doing something. I'll be kind of delving into Mark and Bobby's territory and going into the interview world. As I'm going to something I was planning to do on my old channel under Millwell, but with that, I'm doing that right now. I'll be bringing it to OLE. I'll be looking to talk to some the local some wrestlers that I know from the local independent wrestling scene. And just talk about careers, just some fun stuff. I already have like 5 or 6 people who that 2 hours is enough time to watch the movie. It really is. The movie is literally 2 hours long. She could have watched the movie and jumped right on. But I'll be doing some interviews with some of the local. It'll be like a maybe once a month, maybe every month and a half kind of show. It's not going to be an every week thing, so I'm not burning myself out like that. But I got some guys in the local scene. Son of Irish is somebody I have talked to about doing this. Local wrestler Christian Starr, Wes Barker, one of Astrid's favorite, JJ Spade is I'm looking to talk to you about this. So I got a few more already lined up, right? Like that are down to chat whenever. So that'll be coming up sometime in June. Will be the first episode. So my local independent wrestling friends. So
fantastic. Looking forward to it. Mark, what do you got coming up and where can people reach you?
We are doing Around the World, a new save that me and Bobby are going to be doing together, where we have just finished the South Shields special, where we have won everything. Where we're going to be going around the world, and we will be going to different clubs, doing different things. We're currently in Indonesia playing football over there, and it's a completely different rules, well, same rules as normal football, but completely different league of how they do things and the way they actually run the football over there. So it's confusing for my small little brain. And we've also got the first shows of Money in the Bank is coming to an end this week, where we had the Money in the men's did it yesterday or the day before. The women's were at the start of the week, and it's already been cashed in. So make sure you go and see who the women's on my brand who won the Money in the Bank briefcase and cashed it in already. Already did. And also as well, we've got new superstars debuting not next week, the week after. You know who they are. It's been the DLC. It's fucking obvious where they're probably going to be going, because all I can say is the one superstar I'm getting is I will be turning into Booker T every single match. They're going, yeah, every time. It has to be done. Bobby has got an exciting tag team going to his brand, and a certain new, in real life, SmackDown superstar will be joining the NXT brand on there. Fuck it, let's say it. Motor City Machine Guns are going to Raw. Julia is going to NXT, and Stephanie Vakir is coming with me to Friday Night SmackDown, where Vakir might be bringing some friends. I'm just going to leave it there. Anyway, that's what I got. Bobby, what have you got coming up?
What have I got coming up this Thursday night? It's all about that trivia. Yes, on Ring Respect Radio, you can join myself and Bob Spokes. It's trivia night this coming Thursday night. So join us in the chat. Doing our best to have James Shaw, the Divine Light, New Zealand pro wrestler, join us on screen that night for that one in particular as well too. So hopefully everybody can come and join there. As always, every Saturday afternoon, you can join myself and Papa Smokes as part of the commentary team for Prairie Pro Wrestling. We just yesterday dropped the BBW Championship match, the first title defense of new champion Michael Allen Richard Clark as he took on the intangible Zoe Sager. Go check that one out. Absolute banger of a matchup, and we'll have a brand new fresh match coming at you next Saturday. And then I'll be back right here at Point of View, 11 a.m. Eastern time, with these two gentlemen here to talk about the week in sports. And also this Friday, we're going to have another release of Killer Cuts. I believe that if all goes according to plan, we're going to get to the final destination, Bloodlines, coming up this Friday night. That review coming at you very, very soon. And Astrid and I will have a very special guest joining us for that particular episode. But you can catch all of this.
Go see Sinners. Go see
That's
Sinners.
we've already pre-recorded the Sinners review. It's coming out later because of Final Destination being a recent release kind of thing. So Sinners will probably coincide more for a digital release coming up a couple weeks after that. But we did review it. It's a great movie, one of the best of 2025, if not the best of 2025. But you can catch all this stuff on OLE Podcast. Check us out on all social media as well as YouTube and Twitch. Make sure to give us a follow here on Twitch. Give us a subscribe over on the YouTube side of things. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and turn on the notification bell and leave us comments to get that algorithm flowing. We've got over 700 subs. We're trying to raise that up. We need the watch time. Make sure you can click on OLE shows, playlists, whatever it is. Play them in your background. Let the hours flow. Let the algorithm know that this is the channel that you want to help support and bring us straight to the top. We're on the rise, and with your help, we can go even further. That's going to be it for this week, though, on Point of View. We appreciate you all tuning in, as always, and we'll see you next Sunday for more sports talk. Take care, everybody.